Welcome to another Backyard Professor video. I'm Kerry Schertz, the Backyard Professor. Just getting back from the fair conference held over in Utah, and found out some interesting things. Found a lot of interesting things. I was at BYU's bookstore, and there's 100,000 new pages. There's 2 full bookcases of books on Mesoamerica alone that I hadn't seen last year. I was so shocked. I could have spent $10,000 updating myself if I'd have had the money. I could have spent $10,000 on new studies, the language, the culture, the kingships, the warfare, on and on and on. Brand new books. Some of them were huge, big tomes that were picture tomes of the new pictures. Some of them were the new excavations in the Grijalva River Basin area. I believe that's the river that John Sorensen, in his book, The Ancient American Setting, said is the River Sidon. Brand new excavations and research reports on that. 2 great big, huge, thick tomes on the archaeology. Brand new. None of you have read it either. So when we say we think we understand the final tally on Mesoamerica and how it connects with the Book of Mormon, we're whistling in the dark. Nobody really has the final answers yet. They're not done excavating. Not at all. A few of the scholars that I talked to at FAIR who are also studying in Mesoamerican studies have noted that we haven't even dug up or excavated 1% of the ruins yet. So it's kind of like the DNA in the Book of Mormon. We just aren't done yet, folks. You think you have hard, fast scientific evidence against the Book of Mormon. Not necessarily. Not yet. You think we have final proof and convincing evidence in favor of the Book of Mormon? There are some things that are getting very interesting, but we don't have proof yet. Not in Mesoamerica. Now, I updated on my Mormon studies. I've got about 2,500 new pages. About several editions of the Journal of the Book of Mormon Studies and the Farms Review. I updated about 5 or 6 of those now. Some of them are 400 pages thick. They're just gigantic. 2,500 more pages just on the Mormon side of the scholarship. And there's new evidence and information on Saudi Arabia that I'm going to be very interested in sharing with you. But also found something else I want to talk about with you this morning. Mark Smith, one of my favorite biblical scholars. The early history of God, Yahweh and the other deities in ancient Israel. Yahweh and the other deities in ancient Israel. This isn't the pagan neighbors of Mesopotamia, Babylonia, Assyria, Persia. No, this is in Israel. Now, this is his 2nd edition. I've already used his 1st edition in some of my videos. His 2nd edition came out a decade later. Now, his 1st edition really brought together some of the fine studies and ideas on the polytheisms in ancient Israel and who these other deities were. In this edition, he describes and updates the recent research that went on in the 10 years since he wrote this book. And it couldn't be more shocking on how the archaeological, the ethnographic, the iconographic, the texts themselves that they have been continuing translating as well as bringing to light new inscriptional evidence has yet again changed the picture. He didn't have the final total sum information. And his book is magnificent. I mean, the 2nd edition is 240 pages. It's going to take me a week or so to digest this one. And just like his other one. His other one was a little bit slimmer. But in his preface, he flat blows us away if we think we finally understand what ancient Israel was all about. what the Old Testament text is all about, and we have our understanding, and so we can go on with our merry lives, because everything is fine and well with the biblical text and ancient biblical history. That myth is what he's destroying. There's new evidence on the horizon that changes what we thought we knew. And I want to read a few excerpts from Mark Smith to you. Right off the bat, in his preface to his second edition on page XII, page 12, he says, many new inscriptional, iconographic, and archaeological discoveries pertinent to research have been made. Important new epigraphic finds bearing on deities include several inscriptions from Tel Mikne, that is Ekron, and the yet-to-be-published Phoenician inscription from the southwestern Turkish village of Incirli. You notice how far-ranging the inscriptions are pertinent to ancient Israel? It's not just in a small sector. The scholars have concluded now that we have to study the whole broad area. This is why things change. 100 years ago, we had this little mythic fairy tale make-believe situation and understanding that all we had to do was study Jerusalem and we would understand the entire Bible. Nothing is further from the truth. Now the area is vast, taking in all of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran and Iraq, our modern-day Iran and Iraq. Unfortunately, we're stupidly at war there, so we can't continue excavating. Who knows what's being ruined? So anyway, he says, archaeology has further furnished students of Israelite religion with a new arsenal of data to ponder and integrate. See, this hasn't been done yet. We've just been finding it. It'll take us another 10, 20 years to do that. As a result of more recent inscriptional, iconographic, and archaeological discoveries, many standard hypotheses are fading, and new syntheses are emerging in their wake. In other words, things are changing. William G. Dever noted that in his book, Does God Have a Wife? The Archaeology and the Folk Religion of Ancient Israel. We're in a veritable revolution. We're not done finding materials yet, and what we find is changing the picture. We have to be flexible, or we're going to be left behind. This is why it's so important when someone uses archaeology as a club to beat Mormonism with. If someone comes along and says, well, the biblical context destroys you, well, what is the biblical context? It's changing every decade. Mark Smith is proof of this, and he's not alone. He mentions dozens of new studies on the goddess Asherah. This was before William G. Dever had his book out. He published this in 2002. William G. Dever just came out a few years later. So he didn't even get a chance to integrate that information. But he mentions several German studies, O. Loretz, O. Kiel, and U. Uhlinger. He mentions W. Herman. He mentions John Day. He mentions Van der Turn. It is astonishing how many H. Near in the Ugaritic Pantheon, D. Arnaud, G. Del Olmo Leet, J. Teixidor, F. Braun. There's dozens of scholars working on this stuff, and they're bringing out this new information. Have any of us read this? My goodness, he goes for page after page after page describing the information and the new trends since 1990. I wanted to share this with you too. Page XVI. Looking beyond specific works on deities to the wider disciplines informing the study of Israelite religion, several new trends have emerged over the last decade. See, things are moving. We don't have final answer. There is no final answer yet. This is critical. The scholars don't say we have final archaeological proof for the Bible. Now I've got Mark S. Smith saying that in his new upgraded book that I would highly encourage you to try to buy. Apart from new discoveries, I would mention three trends in the study of Israelite religion. First, the study of iconography and its relevance for Israelite religion has come to the fore with particular force. And then he mentions the works of O. Kiel and C. Uhlinger, and gods, goddesses, and the images of God in ancient Israel. Several major scholars on iconography. I'm not going to list their books. He does